Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Broadband Breakfast Live Online for Wednesday, May 29th, 2024. I'm Drew Clark, editor and publisher of Broadband Breakfast, and we're doing a special preview edition of next week's California Broadband Summit. We will be returning to our discussions. Aloha to you too, Dan Smith. Thank you for greeting us and for being such a regular on the program. We welcome you who are joining us via Zoom or via the other channels and streams that we're on, LinkedIn, X, Facebook, and YouTube. And just a reminder that these videos of these Broadband Breakfast Live online events are always available on the web page for this event, and I'll put that in the chat window just now. And we will be taking questions during this session, so also feel free to put those. I recommend you do that in the Q&A tab. It's just a little bit easier to find them there, and encourage you to chat with one another in the room, in the Zoom room if you're here. But questions, please put in the Q&A tab. We did a little change last minute. We are continuing to come back to our topic of smart cities. We did a number of events, and we will be doing several more events on the subject of smart cities. Let me just recap a couple of these. 4 weeks ago, we covered smart cities and education. And then 3 weeks ago, smart cities and multiple dwelling units. And then 2 weeks ago, smart cities and transportation. So that was kind of the first part of the smart cities series. We're going to be returning to that on the 12th with the session on digital inclusion and smart cities. And then we will be coming to other topics, including spectrum and smart cities and healthcare and smart cities. So these are upcoming events, part of our regular weekly Broadband Breakfast Live online every Wednesday at 12 noon. But today, 1 week out, we're going to talk about the California Broadband Summit. And that event is taking place live in person next week. And I'm going to talk through all of this in our program here today. It's just me for today, but we will be taking Q&A from each of you about the California Broadband Summit. And I'll, again, hope to get at any questions that you've all got. I hope all of you who are here know that at Broadband Breakfast, we believe in better broadband, better lives. And I'm sure you'll find that at the California Broadband Summit next Wednesday, those themes will be threaded throughout the discussion of the day-long session, as well as the next day as part of the CalMatters Ideas Festival. The California Broadband Summit is in Sacramento. All of the details are on the page for the event, which is broadbandbreakfast.com/CBS for California Broadband Summit. And you can find a link to register. Now, it is $199 to register for both the California Broadband Summit and the CalMatters Ideas Festival. You buy for one conference, you get the other, and likewise. And so we are expecting a really strong turnout of people who may be new to Broadband Breakfast, but who are learning about us through the partnership we have with CalMatters. And I'm going to say a little bit more about that just now. The California Broadband Summit will run from 10:30 Pacific time until about 4 o'clock Pacific time. And it will be live streamed. I'm sorry, we don't have the link or the details for that, but it will be available in the next 2 days so that you can plan to register and attend for the live stream as well. But the in-person component, again, for those who are in California or can make it to California, will be from 10:30 in the morning till 4 o'clock. And then that leads right into the evening, the late afternoon and evening events that are part of the CalMatters Ideas Festival. And all day the next day, the program of CalMatters continues. For the California Broadband Summit, which we've been speaking about as a kind of conference within a conference, we are really excited to have a number of great sponsors for the summit. They include our diamond level sponsor, AT&T, which has been actively leading the charge in nationwide fast and reliable 5G and multi-gig fiber home internet service. Our gold level sponsors include Tirana Wireless, the creator of the next generation fixed wireless access, and has been building technology from the ground up to deliver reliable broadband. Cal Broadband, which is comprised of the states, California's leading experts in the development and deployment of broadband infrastructure, and they educate and advocate for the public policies that enable broadband service providers to continue their efforts to connect California. And our silver level sponsor, the California Emerging Technology Fund. Really, really grateful to each of our sponsors, and particularly to CETF for the great leadership and engagement they've contributed, helping us see around the corners, around some of the nuances of California politics. CETF has been on a mission over the last decade to forge partnerships and foster public policy to close the digital divide, and they are a leading proponent of the Digital Equity Bill of Rights. It's not too late to sponsor or to attend the California Broadband Summit, and we hope that if you've got any questions at all, well, you're in the right place. You can ask them here, but you can also email us or go to broadbandbreakfast.com/CBS for information about the program. Now, I promised I would say a little bit more about CalMatters, and you can find links to CalMatters from the webpage for our event. This is the first CalMatters Ideas Festival. You might consider it to be loosely modified on the Texas Tribune Ideas Festival, another great news organization. And CalMatters, for those who maybe aren't familiar with, is a leading nonprofit newsroom in the state of California. They are award-winning organization. They won first prize in the California News Publishers Association over print publications. And I'm really excited because this is the first event we've done with CalMatters, and hopefully we've contributed to making this a great event, and their presence will, we are confident, make the California Broadband Summit a great event too. CalMatters has multiple tracks in the program that begins after ours ends at 4 o'clock. They will go into panels and discussions about and like I said, I'm going to talk a lot about California Broadband Summit just now, but I want to give you an idea of our partner, the CalMatters Ideas Festival. They're doing a session on what's California doing to hold artificial intelligence accountable, as well as a one-on-one discussion about disinformation. That's part of the CalMatters Ideas Festival. And then there's going to be an opening night session on what makes a great California idea. And then throughout the day on Thursday, CalMatters will be having sessions on workforce and the economy, partnerships, that is to say, workforce partnerships. So sort of sessions on workforce, the economy, partnerships, and college, the sort of preparedness for higher education. There's also going to be sessions on California's clean transportation future, and the transportation issue, sessions on homelessness, which of course is and continues to be a problem in many states, including California, and then a one-on-one with the Secretary of U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, as well as sessions on equitability in California and the role of polarization in the political landscape. So CalMatters, again, general interest publication covering lots of topics. We're a more specific interest publication covering, better broadband, better lives, covering the role of tech and politics and their engagement, and partnering together to make, we hope, two great events as part of one session. I should also say, the way that I got to know that Broadband Breakfast has engaged so much with CalMatters is through a news organization called the Local Independent Online News Publishers, which both of us are members of, and Lion, as they call themselves, Lion Publishers, actually responsible for a lot of the great journalism that is out there right now, focused on getting at the issues and controversies of today. I mean, we've all kind of been in this world where we're experiencing declines in many local news publications, and Lion is around to really address that. And for those of you who follow journalism and follow the efforts of great journalism, the Pulitzer Prizes that were announced just last month, it was the first time that more online only publications won Pulitzers than print-based publications. So just kind of a contrast from when I went to journalism school, right, where the print were the only game in town. Now the online have edged out the news, the print news publications. So both of us are online publications, and really excited to work together with CalMatters on this conference. So wanted to now shift gears and talk a little bit about the program of the California Broadband Summit. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, if you don't mind. Always a little tricky on Zoom, but let's do that just so we can kind of work alongside together as we look at the program. So this here is the CalMatters Ideas Festival, and or I should say the California Broadband Summit at the CalMatters Ideas Festival. And our program is really leaning in to the role that the state has played in innovation. California is synonymous with innovation. Broadband internet access services can be dynamic and innovative, but they're also a basic infrastructure need. And this summit aims to catalyze state stakeholders with actions to ensure better broadband for all Californians. And as I said, we're going to start off the day with a program setting the stage, or a panel setting the stage on the California broadband moment. Yes, it leans into BEAD, the Broadband Equity Access and Deployment Program. As many of you know, we had a very successful conference last September called the BEAD Implementation Summit here in Washington, where we really drilled into the details of implementing BEAD. We had the director of the BEAD program, Evan Feinman. We had multiple state broadband officials, as well as many private sector companies, providers, and others. And so this is our first effort to kind of go deep and go into the community. And so this session at the program will bring together the CEO of the Rural County Representatives of California, RCRC, which has been instrumental in this Middle Mile initiative, which is part of the reason we were also very excited to do an event in California, because of this extensive program on Middle Mile. And as again, those of you who follow broadband deployment and BEAD will know, Middle Mile funding got very, very short shrift compared to the funds that are allocated for BEAD. And who knows exactly why that reason may be, but 1 billion instead of 42.5 billion for BEAD is kind of the ratios there. And so California, although it's changed since we put this program together, had a $6 billion program for Middle Mile that's going to get cut, but it still is a very significant program. And so this program is about, or I should say, this panel is setting the stage with officials including Patrick Blacklock, the CEO, Mark Blakeman, the president of California Pacific States for AT&T, Representative Tasha Burner, who is the assembly member focused on Committee of Jurisdiction for Broadband, Carl Guardino, who is Vice President of Government Affairs and Policy at Toronto Wireless, Janice Norman, President of the California Broadband and Video Association, Cal Broadband, Rob Osborne, who is the Director of Communications Division at the California Public Utilities Commission. As again, those of you who follow Broadband Breakfast will know, CPUC is actually the state broadband authority in California. Rob has been on programs that we've had at Broadband Breakfast. So this program, which I'll have the privilege of moderating, will be the scene setting discussion, but it's followed quickly by the perspective that California brings to connecting the dots on digital equity. And in a conversation with Scott Adams, who's the Deputy Director of Broadband and Digital Literacy for the state, we're going to discuss the way broadband access, availability, affordability, and adoption all work together to hopefully achieve digital equity. So these are the kind of the first programs of hour and 15 minutes or so in the morning from 10:30. And then again, just register to attend CalMatters Ideas Festival and the California Broadband Summit. Check the box that says you're coming for lunch on Wednesday and join us 10:30. And then goes right into lunch. We're going to take a break for lunch. We have to go to another place in the Sheraton Grand, so we can't film there. But then we're going to come back at 1 o'clock, and I'm going to walk you through a couple of the panels that we're going to be speaking about there. But let me just take a quick breather to look at the chat and the Q&A here. Bunch of AI assistants. I don't know if people watch this anymore, or they're just send their bots to come and report back. But thank you for sending your bots so that they can report to you on what was said here in this session. I'm going to flip over my screen here, if you don't mind, so that we can have a slightly different view. There we go. All right. So continuing on, I'm going to go back to the I might have switched screens here. Again, you never quite know with Zoom what you're sharing, which can be dangerous. So let me try again. I'm going to go to the event page for our session and make sure I'm sharing from that page so that we can be on the same page, literally, as we talk about the California Broadband Summit. Feel free to put your Q&A together in the Q&A tab. Like I said, I'm just making sure I'm looking when I have got other guests. I've got a little bit of a break, but no break today. So no questions yet, but keep them ready as we move to this. All right. So let's share the screen one more time. Okay, we're back to the screen sharing state. All right, so after lunch, we got 3 panels back to back that we're going to cover. Maybe we could call it some of the meat, some of the controversies, some of the tensions around broadband in California. So we're diving right into the middle mile program, right? And in 2021, the state passed Senate Bill 156, which earmarked $6 billion in broadband investment. So this was before the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, IIJA, was passed, which passed in August, passed the Senate in August 2021, and then it took 3.5 months for the House to pass it because of unrelated political issues. But just after Election Day in 2021, the House passed IIJA, signed by President Biden on November 15th, 2021, and that began the efforts to build the BEAD program and the middle mile program and digital equity programs and others too. A lot of funding for the Affordable Connectivity Program, which another topic for another day, but it actually ties in very much so. The potential demise of the Affordable Connectivity Program very much factors into what states are going to do, including California, are going to do to solve the affordability challenge. So as I was saying, California beat the federal government to the punch, passing this bill in 2021, earmarking $6 billion for broadband investment. And more than half of those funds were to be funneled towards an open access state-owned middle mile network with high capacity fiber. Now, just weeks ago, literally 2 or 3 weeks ago, Governor Gavin Newsom proposed some very substantial cuts in the budget. The state's in a little fiscal crisis, and Governor Newsom's trying to show fiscal restraint, apparently, and so that will impact this program. How much? Well, that's what we're going to talk about, because we're going to have the deputy director of California's Middle Mile Broadband Initiative there in the session. We will also have Barbara Hayes, who is actively involved in the rural counties that are involved in the Middle Mile project. I mean, think of it this way: the purpose of this Middle Mile project is to be able to drive down the costs of getting last mile connectivity. And that is a big issue in a lot of parts of the country, including, rural California. So Barbara, Mark, and David Berlioz of Tilson Technology Management are among the panelists that will be in this session, moderated by Trish Kelly, who is the managing director of Valley Vision. I'm very excited that Trish will be joining us and moderating this session. Valley Vision is an instrumental player in the state in a lot of convenings related to broadband, and again with the extensive role of the state in this project. How does it tie into BEAD, which we'll be talking about in the morning, right? How does it tie into equity? How does it tie into all these issues? That's what we're trying to accomplish in this day-long session. Now, I do see some Q&A. Thanks for asking them. I'm going to go ahead and interject and address them. So Dan Smith, thank you, Dan. Will the California Middle Mile program be underground, and what is the target cost per mile? Well, these are exactly the questions that we're going to be talking about at the California Broadband Summit. I do not have an answer for you, but I will pass these questions on to Trish Kelly, the moderator for that session, and look forward to hearing answers to them. Michael Pish asks, forgive me if I got that name wrong, Pitch. Are the open access networks being built in California mostly commercial or municipal, and do they include last mile connections? Again, I don't know the answer for that. I believe that these are municipal owned, state owned, not municipal, but state owned. But this is what we're going to explore and learn more about. They're definitely open access. And of course, the goal of open access is to be able to ensure that they connect to last mile projects. So that's obviously the purpose of the middle mile networks, or at least one of the purposes, right? And so in our session, we're going to talk about how the state will be adapting. Is it still positioned to capitalize on its new middle mile network? And how will the stakeholders navigate a new pathway? Our third session kind of maybe gets more controversial. So maybe the day's going to get more controversial as we go along. Panel 3 is going to talk about the cost to build. Okay. And, we at Broadband Breakfast, we cover news and we put on events and we build community around better broadband, better lives. And it is nationwide. And so one of the issues that I hear a lot about is like, oh, we would never build in California. We would never want to go. And why? Because the cost to build, because of bureaucracy, paperwork, issues around rights of way. And so we're going to dive right in and talk about this, how the state wrangles with the issues of rights of way, which often drive up the cost of deployment, the legal clearance for deploying and maintaining broadband infrastructure along public routes creates problems. And so we're going to hear from many stakeholders in the state. We are expecting a few more in addition to these panelists, but we are super excited that we have Dane Jasper, the CEO of Sonic, a very, very innovative fiber provider in Northern California. Roger Timmerman, Executive Director of Utopia Fiber, which has actually been instrumental in a lot of California projects. I think it preceded, but I cannot recall right now whether it preceded this middle mile project, or that's the reason that they've gotten involved. But they've got a lot of experience with the cost to build, not only in California, but in many other states. And then Lori Adams, Vice President of Broadband Policy and Funding Strategy for Nokia. They are among the panelists that will be on this panel 3 on the cost to build. And then our final panel for the day will be on net neutrality and privacy. Okay, hot button issues nationwide. But the reason we wanted to cover them here is because while and when federal net neutrality rules hung in limbo, they may no longer hang in limbo by the time, well, actually, they will still kind of technically, because the chairwoman of the FCC, Jessica Rosenworcel, has put them forward. The rules have been published just, I think, a day or two ago or 3 ago in the Federal Register. So that means they will go into effect in, I think, 60 days. But other lawyers, help me if I got it wrong, if it's 30 days. One of those two periods of time, 30 days or 60 days, the net neutrality rules will go into effect. But before they went into effect, California was instrumental in passing its own net neutrality laws. And those were, let's say, they were not preempted by federal rules that were less strong on net neutrality. So the point I'm getting at is during the five, or maybe not five, so 2017, the Trump administration rules, that is to say, the lifting of rules went into effect. Sorry, 2018, early 2018. So it's been literally 5 years, 5.5. No, I got to do math right. It's been more than 6 years since we have had net neutrality rules in effect on the federal level. That is to say, Obama administration put net neutrality rules in place. Trump administration lifted them. It's only now, 3.5 years into the Biden administration that there were enough commissioners on the FCC to get a controversial rule like this issued, and now it's about to go into effect. So during that 6.5 year period of time, while there's been no non-transparency related net neutrality rules on the federal level, California has had its own rules, right? It's had its own net neutrality rules. They've also had their own privacy rules, which in some ways have been a template or framework for federal rules that are not as controversial as net neutrality rules, but are coming up, right? And so we wanted to talk about net neutrality and privacy from the standpoint of what California has done to lead on these topics, right? And so we've got two people on opposite sides of this issue: Jeffrey Manny, president founder of the International Center for Law and Economics, and Barbara Van Schuick, director of Stanford Law School's Center for Internet and Society, in a session that is being moderated by my good friend, Sarah Lai Sterland. So that is the framework for the event, right? And I've already given you the taste that this is not the end, right? We hope you'll come for the California Broadband Summit, but you'll stay for the CalMatters Ideas Festival the rest of Wednesday, the 5th, as well as Thursday, the 6th. Okay, I see another question from Michael Pitch. Do you see problems with the 2 to 10 gigabit per second fiber to the home connections when most home routers and computers top out at 1 gigabit per second? Well, that's a great question. A little bit random, but thank you for asking it. And happy to answer based on what I know. Look, routers, I mean, and I think this is a fair point. It's a fair point that maybe doesn't get as much attention as it should, which is to say, there are many bottlenecks to getting higher speeds, and not all of them are the speed of the connection, right? That's one of them, right? It's probably the hardest to solve. But there's issues of routers. There's issues of wireless routers. There's issues even of computers, right? Old computers have circuitry that can be very, very slow. So it is absolutely a problem. Now, it's a solvable problem, and I think it's easier solved than the fiber problem. That is to say, routers get upgraded, and I am confident, Michael, that the fiber-based provider that you are getting your fiber from, if they have 10 gigabit or more capacity, they're also going to help you to identify and find the router you need to be able to handle that. So back to our program, like I said, thanking our sponsors, AT&T, Tarana, Cal Broadband, and the California Emerging Technology Fund. You can also see, of course, all of the bios of the panelists listed on the page. I will pop it into the URL here in just a moment after I scroll through the faces of our panelists. And once again, and I did not mention this, if you sign up for the California Broadband Summit, you also get 2 free months of access to the Broadband Breakfast Club. We hope all of you, or many of you, are enjoying membership in the club. In addition to the free reporting that we do on, well, I should say, in addition to these free events we do every Wednesday, we also do we're now kind of averaging about 6 to 10 stories a day on Broadband Breakfast. We try to be relevant, timely, newsworthy, topical, accurate. Okay, that's important, and we correct any errors if we make those errors. And these articles are available. You have a certain number of articles you can access for free, and then if you sign up as a free member of the Broadband Breakfast community, you can get 13 articles a month. But if you want access to all articles, we ask you to bump up to the Breakfast Club for $99 a month or $590 a year. And the other things you get that no one else can get are exclusive reports that we produce every 2 weeks. We've just done one on privacy and privacy legislation. We're about to do one on some of the burdens and barriers to infrastructure deployment, and we've got many more lined up beyond that. So access to the exclusive reports and access to videos of our events, like the Broadband Measurement Summit we did 3 months ago, or the BEAD Implementation Summit that I spoke about earlier, or our signature digital infrastructure investment event that will take place in the fall on September 19th. These are some of the benefits that you can only get by being a member of the Broadband Breakfast Club. I'm gonna keep this open for questions. I just got one here. Let me just quickly pop the URL for the California Broadband Summit into the chat window. That is the place to go to sign up. And the question we just got from an anonymous attendee is, with my full respect for what you do, it has been 30 minutes of mostly promotional talk. Okay, well, anonymous attendee, thank you very much. That is true that this is a preview event of something that is taking place next week. There will be lots of substantive non-promotional talk at our event next week, so we hope that you join us for that event. There will be a link available for those who cannot make it to California for the event. And I should say that, our upcoming schedule of events is available at broadbandbreakfast.com. You can always kind of shortcut to /BBLO for Broadband Breakfast Live Online. I've just put the link in. This shows us our upcoming events, and there is less promotion at these events, but we still try to, encourage you all to take advantage of our news and our community. Once again, our upcoming events: on June 12th, we're going to be talking about digital inclusion and smart cities. On July 3rd, we're going to talk about healthcare and smart cities. And we have other events in there too that we just haven't posted yet. All right. And so the last question I've got here, again, unless someone comes forward with the question here quickly, Michael Pitch asks, there are virtually 0 routers available with 2.5 gigabits per second local area network ports. Only high-end gaming laptops have the 2.5 gigabit per second Ethernet ports. Thank you for that, bringing that to our attention. And Michael, what I'd recommend is why don't you reach out to me, Drew@breakfast.media, and we'll see if we can get an expert opinion featuring this topic. Thank you for your time with us here today. I don't want to, filibuster or talk longer than is needed. So we appreciate your being with us here today for this preview event of the California Broadband Summit. Look for details about the links to watch online, or go to broadbandbreakfast.com/CBS for California Broadband Summit to sign up. Until then, I will see you all next Wednesday. Take care, everyone.